Have you ever met someone who says, I know a lot of English words, but when I want to speak, my mind goes completely blank? Honestly, this is one of the biggest problems English learners face. And today, we're going to explain exactly why this happens.
Actually, I think almost every English learner has said that sentence at least once. I understand, but I can't speak. I know the words, but I don't know how to use them.
Exactly. And here's the surprising part. The problem isn't that you don't know enough vocabulary. Sometimes students know 3,000, 4,000, even 5,000 words, and they still struggle to introduce themselves naturally.
Which sounds really strange, because everyone tells you the more words you memorize, the better your English becomes.
And that's the myth. Memorizing words isn't the same as acquiring a language. They're two completely different things. And by the end of today's episode, you'll understand why. You'll also know what you should do instead if your goal is speaking fluently.
Before we continue, we just want to tell you something. If you've been following our YouTube channel or the summer program or our podcasts, then you've already seen part of the way we teach English.
But everything you've seen so far is only a small part of what we do inside our foundation program.
The Foundation program is our complete 3-month roadmap. It includes live classes every week, daily training, speaking activities, worksheets, shadowing, podcasts, weekly follow-up, and an academic team that stays with you until you actually improve, not until you simply finish watching videos.
So if you're serious about changing your English this summer, you'll find all the registration details in the description and the pinned comment. Registration for the current group is closing very soon.
All right, now let's answer today's question. Why doesn't memorizing vocabulary make you a fluent speaker? Because the answer will probably change the way you study forever.
All right, Rama, let me ask you something. If I teach you the word opportunity and you memorize the translation, does that mean you can use it naturally in a conversation tomorrow?
Honestly, probably not. I might know what it means, but when I try to speak, I'll still freeze.
And that's the whole problem. Your brain isn't designed to learn language by collecting random words. It remembers meaning, situations, stories, expressions, and patterns, not isolated vocabulary lists.
So someone can memorize hundreds of words and still struggle to speak.
100%, because knowing a word is not the same as knowing how to use it. Think of vocabulary like Lego pieces. You can own thousands of pieces, but if you never learn how to build with them, they're just sitting there.
That actually explains a lot, because many students know the meaning of the word, but they don't know what comes before it, what comes after it, or when people actually use it.
Right, and that's why children don't learn languages from dictionaries. They hear full sentences, they copy people, they repeat the same expressions, they make mistakes, and little by little, they start speaking naturally.
So they're learning patterns, not individual words.
That's the idea. And this is where something called lexical chunks becomes really important. Instead of learning one word alone, you learn a complete expression that's ready to use. For example, don't just learn forward, learn I'm looking forward to it. Don't just learn no, learn I'll let you know. Don't just learn go, learn how's it going.
That makes learning feel much more practical, because now I'm not just memorizing meanings, I'm collecting English I can actually say.
And that's exactly how we build our content at Avatar Academy. In our podcasts, our YouTube lessons, our activities, and inside the Foundation program, we don't teach vocabulary as random lists. We put it inside conversations, real situations, stories, shadowing exercises, and speaking tasks. Because our goal isn't for you to recognize English, our goal is for you to use it.
And this is probably why so many students say, I know a lot of words, but I still can't speak. Because they spent years collecting vocabulary, but not enough time collecting usable English.
Beautifully said. Language isn't a memory competition, it's a communication skill. And communication always happens in context.
Okay, so if memorizing single words isn't the answer, how do we actually learn vocabulary in a way that helps us speak? Because I think that's what everyone wants to know next.
All right, so now we know the problem. Learning isolated words gives you knowledge, but it doesn't automatically give you speaking. So what do we do instead? We use a simple system. Learn the expression, hear it in context, repeat it, use it, then come back to it again later.
So we're not just learning more vocabulary, we're training the same vocabulary until it becomes easy to use.
That's the difference. Most learners meet a word once, write the translation, then move on to the next word. But your brain usually needs to meet the same expression several times in different situations before it becomes part of your active English.
Active English? What does that mean?
It means the English you can actually use, not just the English you recognize when someone else says it. For example, you might understand the expression, "it depends on," when you hear it, but if someone asks you a question, you may not remember to use it.
So it's in my passive vocabulary, but not my active vocabulary yet.
That's right. And moving vocabulary from passive to active requires practice. You need to hear it, say it, write it, and use it in your own life. Let's take the expression, "it depends on." First, you hear it in a conversation. "What are you doing this weekend?" "It depends on the weather." Then you repeat it with the speaker. "It depends on the weather." Then you create your own examples. "What time do you sleep?" "It depends on my schedule." "Are you going to travel?" "It depends on the price."
Now the expression feels much easier because I'm not trying to build the sentence word by word. The full pattern is already in my head.
And this is where shadowing becomes very useful. You listen to a short sentence, then repeat it with the same rhythm, the same pronunciation, and almost the same speed. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but after a while, your mouth starts getting used to complete English patterns.
So, shadowing isn't only pronunciation practice, it also helps you remember useful sentences.
Exactly. Actually, let me use another word, absolutely. Shadowing connects what your ears hear with what your mouth can produce, and that's why we use it in our podcasts, our free summer program activities, and inside the foundation program.
And I've noticed something in the podcast episodes. Important expressions keep appearing again, but in different conversations.
That's intentional. We use repetition, but we don't want repetition to feel like memorizing the same list again and again. So we bring the expression back naturally, in a story, a question, a dialogue, a challenge, or a speaking task. This helps your brain recognize the pattern without feeling like you're studying the same thing all day.
That sounds much more natural than memorizing 50 words before sleeping, then forgetting 48 of them the next morning.
Unfortunately, that happens to a lot of learners. And we also use active recall. Instead of always showing you the answer, we ask you to remember it, complete the sentence, answer a question, or create your own example. That small struggle to remember is actually part of learning.
So making a mistake during practice isn't a bad thing.
Not at all. Mistakes show you what your brain hasn't fully learned yet, and when you correct the mistake, the expression often becomes easier to remember next time. That's why we don't want students to just watch and leave. We want them to comment, speak, write, repeat, and interact.
Which explains why almost every episode has a mission at the end.
Yes. Every mission is designed to move you from understanding English to actually producing English. And inside the foundation program, we take the same system much further. Students follow a complete roadmap. They have daily practice, live classes, speaking activities, assignments, review tasks, and weekly academic follow-up. So the vocabulary doesn't stay inside a notebook. It becomes part of their real communication.
Okay, now I understand the system, but I think people need to see it happen with a real word. Let's take one word and show them the difference between memorizing it and actually learning how to use it.
All right, let's make this practical. Let's take one common word, improve. A lot of students learn it like this. Improve means يتحسن or يطور, and then they move on.
Which means they know the translation, but they still don't know how to use it naturally.
Right, so instead of learning only the word, we build patterns around it. I want to improve my English. I need to improve my speaking. She improved a lot this year. This course helped me improve. How can I improve faster?
Now the word feels useful because I can see it in different situations.
And now we connect it to your real life. What do you want to improve? Maybe I want to improve my pronunciation. I want to improve my listening. I want to improve my confidence. Now the word isn't just inside a dictionary, it's connected to your own goal.
And that probably makes it much easier to remember.
It does, because your brain remembers meaning better when the language becomes personal. Then we add active recall. I remove part of the sentence and ask you to complete it. I want to blank my English. What goes in the blank?
Improve.
Good. Now another one. This course helped me blank my speaking.
Improve.
Now let's make it harder. Create a sentence about yourself using improve.
I want to improve my English before I travel.
Perfect. And now we use shadowing. Listen to the sentence, I want to improve my English before I travel. Then repeat it, not word by word, as one complete rhythm.
I want to improve my English before I travel.
Again, a little more naturally.
I want to improve my English before I travel.
Much better. This is how one word starts moving into your active vocabulary. You saw it in context, you heard it, you remembered it, you used it, and you repeated it.
So instead of learning 20 new words badly, it might be better to learn 5 useful expressions properly.
That's a much smarter approach, because 5 expressions you can actually use are more valuable than 50 words you only recognize. Let's try another example. Instead of learning the word decision, learn the expression make a decision. Then build around it. I need to make a decision. It was a difficult decision. Have you made a decision yet? I finally made the right decision.
That's interesting because if I only learned decision, I might say do a decision, and that would sound wrong.
And that's one of the biggest reasons we teach chunks. Words usually have partners, natural combinations that native speakers use automatically. Make a decision, take a break, pay attention, make progress, have a chance.
So when you learn the full chunk, you speak faster because you're not building everything from zero.
And you also make fewer mistakes because the pattern is already ready in your memory. This is also how we design many of our podcasts and exercises at Avatar Academy. We repeat useful expressions naturally, then ask students to use them in comments, speaking activities, daily tasks, and real examples.
Which means the comment activities aren't just there for engagement. They're actually part of the learning process.
That's the whole idea. When you write your own sentence, you force your brain to retrieve the expression and use it. That's much more powerful than simply reading it again. And inside the foundation program, students don't do this once. They practice the same system every day with guidance, feedback, and a clear plan.
Okay, so now we know how to turn one word into usable English. But what should someone do every day if they want to build vocabulary without going back to random word lists again?
So, if there's only one thing I want you to remember from today's episode, it's this. Stop asking, how many words should I memorize? Start asking, how many expressions can I actually use today? That's the question that changes everything.
So instead of chasing bigger vocabulary, we should focus on usable English.
Exactly. Here's a simple daily routine. Listen to a short podcast. Pick 5 useful expressions. Repeat them with shadowing. Then use at least one of them in a comment or in a conversation, or even while talking to yourself. Do that every day, and after a few months, you'll be surprised how much easier speaking becomes.
I honestly wish someone had explained language learning this way years ago. It would have saved me so much time.
Ha, that's exactly why we created this podcast. We want you to stop wasting years on methods that don't work and start learning the way your brain actually learns languages. If you enjoyed today's episode, go watch the rest of the podcast series. Every episode builds another piece of your English. And if you're ready for a complete roadmap, our foundation program is now open. It's a full 3-month system with live classes, daily training, weekly follow-up, shadowing, speaking practice, worksheets, and everything you need to build a real foundation. You'll find all the registration details in the description and the pinned comment.
And don't forget today's mission. Go to the comments, write one useful expression you learned today, then use it in your own sentence. And don't forget to write your team name at the end.
Perfect. We'll read your comments, see you in the next episode, and until then, keep learning, keep speaking, and remember, don't memorize English, live English.